I'm Clint Stoker with Salt Lake Community College Universal Access, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Microsoft PowerPoint more accessible. Now, before we start diving into this, I want to point out a couple things, and that is, first off, if you're making a PowerPoint presentation and you're thinking about accessibility from the ground up, it saves you a lot more time in the long run, and I'll show you what I mean by that. And second is, if I'm looking at this PowerPoint, I need to make sure to look at every single aspect here. So if I'm clicking here, we can see this image here is one component. Let's see, this logo here is another component layered on top. This yellow sort of decorative line is another section, and then I finally have my text box, and I also have this blue background. So it's easy to see this image and think, that this is all one big background image, but just click around to make sure how many components you have on a given slide. The same would go for any interior slides. Here I've got, at the top here, I've got a title, I've got a text box, but I shouldn't overlook the fact that I also have this decorative yellow line and the college logo at the bottom. JAWS will notice those things, or NVDA as well. So let's first take a look at the read order. What I'm going to do here is select Arrange. This will bring down my drop-down menu, and then I'm going to click on Selection Pane. That'll open my selection pane on the right-hand side, and I can actually see the read order of all these components on a given slide. To make it a little bit confusing, the read order actually starts from bottom and goes to top. So if this was a 3D image, we can see these are basically a whole bunch of images that are stacked on top of one another. And so screen readers are going to start with the lowest layer and the base, and then work its way up. And so if I click here, I can see picture 2 is going to read first, and that is actually, I can see highlighted this picture of the door and the students leaving the door. And I don't necessarily want that to be first. This would be decorative text, especially in the context here. This is just a title slide. Really, all I am concerned about with JAWS reading is this line of text here, so text box 11. So let me show you what happens though if I move my text here down to the bottom. If I do that, you're going to see it disappears, and that's because I've now placed my text underneath this blue rectangle. So even if I have all the important stuff at the base, so it'll be reading first, then I've got a whole other problem, because it will be unreadable to anybody else. So the way that we're going to fix this is I'm going to actually just add alt text. So let's start here with this larger image. Alt text works the same that it does in most other Microsoft products. I'm going to click on right click and then format picture, and then at the bottom here I've got alt text, and right now this alt text is reading as South City Composite. So what I want to do is actually get rid of that and just add a blank space. What that's going to do is actually just insert some blank alt text, and that way JAWS is just going to gloss over this. It's not important, it's not adding anything to the context here, so we're just going to get rid of it. Now we're going to do the same thing here. Just going to add a blank space, close, and let's do the same thing with this blue line, alt text, and it is actually already blank, so that's great. Alright, so now I've added blank alt text to all these decorative images, so even though my text box is sort of in the middle here, it's going to be the only thing that reads, except this logo, which in fact I'm going to go ahead and add alt text there. And because it's the first occurrence of it, I'm going to go ahead and name this SLCC logo. This logo will show up on every other slide after, but I don't want to retitle it because it just becomes redundant. So this slide should be pretty good. it's just going to read the title here and move on to the next slide. So when you're working through PowerPoint, something important is when you're creating new slides, it's always a better idea to just insert a new slide by using the slide layouts that already exist. If you start making text boxes, the problem is they're floating, they're in different places. You can do that, but you're going to have to be careful and look over here on your the read order and make sure that everything's in a proper read order. So the easy way around that is just to use Microsoft's layouts that they already have. So this page looks pretty good. I do have that same decorative image down here, and so I'm going to go ahead and add some alt text. And it's just going to be blank. Doesn't add anything to the context, and because this logo is going to show up on every single slide, there's no need for me to tell anybody. Let's go ahead and just make that blank alt text, and someone using a screen reader will appreciate that. So slides that simple. So I'm just going to work through the slides and do all those same things. Now remember, this blue rectangle at the top is a shape, and by default it has blank alt text, so we don't need to do anything there. It's just going to be any decorative images. Okay, here's a slide with just only images, because these images have some meaning. Again, into context, I can add some alt text. I'm going to say six-sided dice. So those are really the basics of PowerPoint. There's not a whole lot to it. The important things are read order, alt text. Usually there's a lot of decorative images in PowerPoint. That's just the nature of the beast. And yeah, make sure you're using Microsoft built-in slide layouts, and that way things will be in a proper reading order.